Hi everyone, thanks for coming back to the channel and for watching these videos as always. You catch me in my man cave today, and before I get into the topic today of the costs associated with buying my new boat, if you could do me a favour and hit that like and subscribe button, it really would be appreciated. So, as you already know, I've purchased a new boat. It's bigger, heavier, more expensive. It's got two engines, bow thruster, stern thruster, full standard room heads compartment, two dedicated bedrooms, a much bigger galley area, bigger cockpit area, bigger saloon area. Everything's bigger. Everything I want, great. But unlike my previous boat purchase, which was actually my first boat ownership, where I didn't have any life jackets, boat hooks, fenders, toolkits, paper charts, and navigation equipment, I had to buy all that stuff extra at the time, and there's a video right at the very start of my channel history that you can go look at and see what those kind of costs look like. But for this upgraded boat, there are really much smaller costs involved in terms of just upgrade path, but the costs start to go up slightly in terms of what you pay for things like surveys. So we're going to get into that now, and again, any questions or comments, put them in the comments section, and I will try and get back to you when I get around to reading the comments over the next few weeks. So the first thing, boat purchase cost. I'm not going to be as transparent with that. It was significant for me. My previous boat, which I bought for £35,000 in 2020, was a lot of money. This boat is significantly more than that. I didn't lose hardly any money on my previous boat when I sold it, so that, with the funds what I put towards my new boat, is significant. But I'm not going to tell you about it for several reasons. One, I don't appear to be boastful. This is a labour of love for me, so I got the wife's permission to spend the money I wanted to spend. Two, I know that not everyone's has been as fortunate as myself to be able to afford this sort of boat. Three, if I ever want to sell it, I want to make sure I can get as close to the price I paid for it if possible. So hopefully you realise why I don't want to give you that figure. But then the other costs are where it starts to change ever so slightly. So with any boat of significant value, and again that's going to be very different for each of us, I would recommend getting a survey done. My survey on my previous boat was done by a fantastic guy called John Munns, but unfortunately he was about to have an operation when I needed the survey done on my new boat. So I went to a guy called Joe Kershaw, recommended by the yard and actually mentioned on the Clark and Carter site, with whom the brokerage I went through. Typically when you have a survey, they charge by the foot length of the boat, and my boat is approximately 29 feet. So it was about £17 per foot, which gives a survey total of £493. I got a 10-page report detailing absolutely everything about the boat, every rocker switch, every lever, every opening, every hinge, bilge conditions, everything. But in order to do the full survey, they have to lift the boat out of the water as well. And so the lift costs for them to do the outer water part of the survey, so they could scrape back some of the antifoul underneath and check the condition of the hull, look at the bow thruster and the stern thruster, that was £437. Now that's a big swing in terms of potential cost. So Burnham Yacht Harbour, where my boat was based and owned before, that's a commercial harbour, whereas where I am, where my boat is, in South Essex, it's a club harbour, and it's run by volunteers basically. So the lift costs for my boat are actually £76, but again, different commercial marinas will charge slightly different fees, but say for me it was £437. My new boat has two 300 litre petrol tanks, one each side of the boat. They're not connected, so they don't balance the weight at all. In order to bring my boat round by the sea, I had to top the fuel up. I spent £498.46 on that for the same approximate cost, give or take £50 or so. I could have had it trailered round to my local marina, but I thought it's probably better to actually understand and get to learn the boat by bringing it around and see how it handles and looks at the different sea conditions. In order to do that though, because I brought my boat round in the middle of winter, actually just after Christmas, I hired a professional skipper, because depending on what the sea state was, it may be way above my level of comfort or ability. So the professional skipper was £250. I think it's worth his weight in gold, as hopefully you'll see in the video I've posted. The camera doesn't quite capture it, but it was terrifying. And as we'd come off one wave, we'd have another wave go over the front of us, and yeah, it was scary. So £250 was a price I was willing to pay. And bearing in mind the cost of my new boat and the age of it, it's significantly younger. It's about 7 years younger than my previous boat, and how much bigger it is and how much more kit's in it. The insurance was a very reasonable £545.15, which means the total cost, excluding purchase price, to buy my new boat was £2,221.61. But there is one more cost I do need to talk about, which is once it goes back in the water, I will have an Axiom expert come down to the marina to reset the system. Only because when I was putting all that petrol in, the petrol tank display on the Axiom was showing one was more full than the other, so I was filling the one that had significantly less fuel in. But I noticed that after several jerry cans were going into the fuel tank, the boat started to list slightly, and so it occurred to me, I kept filling more petrol in it was listing more and more. So there's obviously an issue where the connections to the fuel tanks are not marrying up to what the display says, because ultimately the displays, what was telling me was the port tank, which was almost full, was actually the starboard tank. So I need to get that system reset, and that cost will be, from a specialist in Malden in Essex, will be £181.86. Before I go though, so that was £2,221.61 with another £181.86 to go on once it's back in the water. But I do have a whole bunch of other costs that I've started to incur since the boat's now been lifted out of the water at my end, so I can get it ready for the 2026 season. I'll do a video of that separately, but they're racking up, and I'm just waiting for the 2 engines to be serviced in the next few weeks, and I think that's going to be the biggest ticket item, just because the engines are so much bigger than the one I had on my previous boat, and now there's 2 of them. But that's it for today. Very quick video. Again, do me a favour, hit that like and subscribe button. I really would appreciate it if we can try and grow the channel a little bit more this year. It's not for any commercial benefit, it's just to know that you folks are finding any of this stuff valuable. And again, it's going to be another year of learning for me as a boat virgin, with a bigger boat, with more kit, more weight, more toys, things to get used to. So until the next time, take care, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.